Kent?
Yes.
This is unusual.
Right.
It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So what's so wonderful about this is I have an opportunity to educate the community about my 4 C's: condition, cause, correction, and confirm.
Okay.
And that's how everybody's trained here to figure out what's wrong with a car.
Right.
And your story is unique in the sense that perhaps that process wasn't followed with accuracy and thoroughness.
As I understand those words, yeah, the last place I went, they weren't.
So tell me,
that.
There's a Mazda out here.
Right.
And they told you, why don't you give me the story? The dealership told you, and you don't. I'd rather you not mention the dealership.
And I won't mention their name,
yeah.
but I went to the dealer because they give me a pretty good deal on my oil changes and lubes.
Uh-huh.
And so went to the dealer, and they ran a scope or diagnostic on the car, and they said your engine's shot.
Okay, now tell me, remember, condition, cause, correction, confirm. The easiest way I can say it is condition, if you have diarrhea, that's your condition. The cause, maybe you got a bug. The correction, take some medicine.
I like your...
Why did you even see them about a problem?
I was going in for an oil change, and they came out, 3 of them, and said, we have some bad news for you. We think your motor's shot. And I said, well, you think or it is? And they're like, no, it's shot. Your head gasket's gone.
So you didn't have an overheat problem?
No,
didn't. You didn't have a coolant light on?
Didn't have a coolant light on.
Never had a problem with the coolant going low?
I check my oil maybe every 1,000 or
Good for you, dude. That's the way you do it, man.
1,500 miles, and it was still, even at the oil change, a little bit gold, and it was right where it needed to be.
Okay, so you're in there.
And I'm not adding any antifreeze either, or any coolant, so it's...
So basically you going into the doctor to get your blood pressure test, and he's coming out saying, we need to prep you for surgery, you're having a heart attack.
Yeah, in fact, they said, we're not sure you should drive it home.
You gotta be kidding me.
It drove down here fine. And so at that point I said, well, this is a shock to me, especially with the miles that I have on this car. And they said, how often do you change your oil?
How many miles are on the car?
I don't know, 90 or something.
90,000 miles?
And I don't drive it very much. I drive that car about 5.
Well, did you tell him at some point, did you say, guys, are you sure you're talking to the right guy? I've never had an overheat problem. I don't hear any noises.
And it hasn't, it's not burning any oil. I check the oil maybe 2 or 3 times between oil changes, every 1,000 or 2.
Good. Cars burn oil, folks. And if you're going, 3,000 to 6,000 miles between oil changes, and a little Mazda, you got a 4-quart sump, 4.5 quarts.
Right.
It's not unusual. You could burn a quart or 2 in 6,000 miles.
But it would go down a tiny in 4,000 or 5,000 miles.
You're like going, what are you guys talking about?
And I didn't understand. So
let's go look at your car.
Okay.
My foreman, Tyson, has looked at this. Tyson's been with me for 30 years. Yeah, see, it's holding pressure. Okay, so you've probably had this explained, but I'll go over it real quickly. Mm-hmm. This is your cooling system. We put pressure on top of it. We've now got 16 PSI on the cooling system holding pressure.
Well, apparently yours doesn't work because theirs was going down. I'm joking.
Oh.
I'm joking. Because it's like they came out and said it's not holding, and so they must have just been messing with it. I don't know.
Okay, guys, this is a piece of test equipment. It doesn't mean that it doesn't maybe have a leak or something. So the same with the compression gauge. If you're doing a compression on an engine and all of a sudden you find a low cylinder and you were thinking, this engine's running fine, how could I have a low cylinder? Go grab your buddy's compression tester or coolant pressure tester and use that to double check that your equipment doesn't have a fault in it, okay? Because that's super important, because we've all made a mistake and maybe that's what happened here, but at the very least, they should have grabbed another piece of equipment and checked it.
Right.
But without it overheating and your oil, so did they change the oil? Did they end up changing it?
I don't believe they changed the oil.
They didn't charge you for an oil change?
No.
Okay, because the oil does look like it's been in there a little bit. It doesn't look brand new. And you just brought this from the dealer?
It drove straight from there to here.
And Tyson, so we have a code for a thermostat. Was it setting the check engine light on?
I did not see a light on at this time.
I wonder if they cleared the code. You want to hook it up real quick? Did you bore scope the holes?
Yeah, to see it, because they were saying that coolant had
getting into the cylinders
because coolant was getting.
Okay, remember, condition, cause, correction, confirm.
Mm-hmm.
Condition, okay, I got coolant squirting into a cylinder. The cause would be a blown head gasket or a cracked head.
Right.
The correction would be fix that, but the confirmation, if you forget one of the confirmation is take a look inside the holes and see if you got coolant spraying in there. Now you wouldn't, because if you did, this would be leaking down.
Right.
You'd either have an external.
It has to be under pressure.
Right. Folks, that's about the way your world should work around you. If it don't make sense, drop, stop, and roll. You're on fire, and you want to get out of there.
It just didn't sound right what they were telling me. And I called up a buddy who's a bit of a mechanic, and he said, I would go get a second opinion. He said, that doesn't sound right to me, what they told you.
Well, he was a smart man.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, so let's scan for this code and see. Now, we might not have the code in there because they might have cleared it. That code would normally set a hard fault, meaning your check engine. And you told me you've never had the check engine light come on.
Well, not until recently, but it had recently.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, and that is, according to them, that code is a thermostat. Now, they might have cleared it, and we might not have it available in our memory.
Let's look at OBD2, because OBD2 will have permanent codes that they'll keep until it runs its test and passes it. See, it's in permanent codes.
Yeah.
Because it's trying to
engine coolant temp sensor correlation. So that code off top is normally a thermostat that's not functioning properly.
Right.
So we'll put a thermostat in it and spark plugs probably and ship this thing.
Thank you. The information that I got from them today is very opposite of what you've just told me here.
If a shop doesn't really take the time to explain it to you, especially when you came in to have a toenail fixed, or you know what I mean. I mean, if you're going to a doctor's office and you're getting basically just a physical, and he's telling you, "Holy crap,
you need a new leg."
You need a new leg or something like that." You probably ought to go get a second opinion.
Well, and that's exactly what made me come here, and then it's like, but it just didn't sound right to me. So,
folks, we can do better than this as an industry. I mean, mechanics, we have to do better than this. This is the most important thing to me as an industry advisor on this, is that, follow the condition, cause, correction, confirm. And if you can't confirm your analysis, that's like hunting with a shotgun when you should be using a rifle. And now you're doing it blindfolded, for God's sake. Stop it. Okay.
Well, you don't need to confirm if they give you the money for a new car. End of story, right?
Right.
And that's what they were doing. That's what they were trying.
They were trying to get you out of this.
They said, this thing's shot. That's what they said.
So they were,
And I drive this car a lot. I drive it probably 4,000 or 5,000 miles a year because I ride my bike everywhere. So this car gets one oil change a year. That's it. I mean, it just doesn't get driven.
All right.
So
thank you for the explanation.
Thank you.
Pleasure meeting you, Ken.
Yeah, nice to meet you. Thanks for your help.
The next day.
Ho, ho, ho. Ho, ho. Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas, little girls. I'm looking for that rascal Dave. Is he here? This is my sleigh right now. We're on cost-cutting measures. Santa, I got a problem. Here, I want to show you my Christmas list. Come here. I see you got 3 bikes here. That's a good start. But I got a lot of little Johnnies on my list right here.
Oh, you do?
And I need more than 3 motorcycles for some of these boys and girls out there. Let's get that going.
We'll get it done.
All right.
All right, guys, you heard the man. So we'll have 10 bikes total. Everyone that enters today gets a chance to win one of these, and the day after that, and the day after that for the next 10 days. All right, we got to go get 7 more bikes. The next 10 days, we're going to give one of these away each day for anybody that enters the giveaway. Let's go get it. This brings back memories of when I was a kid, and we want you to give that to your kids or adults. I mean, heck, I'm having a blast. I'm going so fast, my beard came off. There goes my beard. You're gonna have 10 chances to win. We wanna give you the ultimate opportunity to put this under your Christmas tree or to make this your daily commute or whatever. So get it, guys. I'm telling you, enter today or tomorrow. You're gonna have 10 chances to win.
I didn't see any leaks this morning. There's nothing in the cylinders this morning. So we're gonna leave it on for a little longer. I'm still gonna do a hydrocarbon test just to get everything off the table with it hot, and then we'll get him back on the road. So there's no indication of any antifreeze in any cylinder. Our job is to educate so they know exactly what's going on. I'm doing the cold test.
Awesome.
For the pressure testing, because you have to have a cold motor, so you don't have any thermal drop in pressure. So you know it held, you're good.
Both.
Then hot, I'll do the hydrocarbon to verify there is nothing going on. This came in yesterday. He wrote it up that it had coolant in the oil. Well, there was a misunderstanding. And then we read the report from the dealer and then tried to verify what they told him and have been unable to verify it. So I've had it on the pressure tester for 45 minutes. I'm gonna go to a full hour, make sure I get no pressure drop, and then I'll move on to the hydrocarbon test. So like we talked about, when you're testing for things, you wanna make sure that your test equipment is working if you're not finding a problem. I went and used another guy's pressure tester and it held pressure. I hooked mine back up and it was still dropping. So I'm like, okay, what's going on? So I went and got a little soapy water. I've got foaming coming out of the fitting on my pressure tester. So I need to repair my pressure tester or I need to get a new one so I can then have confidence while I'm doing a pressure test. Afternoon, everybody. If you're like me, you've done it as long as I have, you probably have one of these in your toolbox. This was used to test for hydrocarbons in the cooling system. Did it work? Yes, but it had to be a pretty bad head gasket. Moving now to the 21st century, we now have 5-gas analyzers to where you can much more accurately check for either a major blown head gasket or you can see when the head gasket is starting to fail based on the hydrocarbons you get. Okay, so here's a Mazda we're doing. Here's our setup. We of course don't want to suck any liquid into our analyzer, so we made a spill-free funnel glued together. So now we'll stick our probe in and we'll see if we get any readings on our analyzer. So initially, we don't have any readings. Tech tip for you guys out there, when you're doing a hydrocarbon test, have it all ready to go for your initial cap takeoff of the expansion tank to see if you get a high reading. A lot of times you'll get, all of a sudden it'll shoot up and then come back down, and then you can run the vehicle and then watch the hydrocarbons slowly come up. So we're gonna run the vehicle here up to operating temperature and see if we get any hydrocarbon readings on our screen and let the customer know what we find. Here's how we know we have a good reading and sensitivity on our machine. Then you wait a second. I'm putting out 9 hydrocarbons. Okay, so we've had this thing running, we've got it fully up to temp, we've varied the RPM, we've been monitoring our screen, and we have no readings of any hydrocarbons in the cooling system. Then we'll let it cool down for a minute so we don't make too big of a coolant mess. Okay, so now that we've gone and finished our testing to eliminate any major mechanical problems, we're now going to address the code that he had, the P0128, which is usually the thermostat. The thermostat is what helps the engine heat up quickly so it's running efficiently. That's why they have a code for that problem. So the thermostat's either opening too soon or cracked open or something. So we're going to get a new thermostat in there, get the cooling system serviced, pressure test it again, verify we're good, and then run it, do our post-testing to make sure he's good to go. Okay, I'm starting to get some components out of my way so I can get to the thermostat on this car. Here's our new one, comes with the seal. If you notice and pay attention, there's a little divot here, goes along with the air bleed. You want that facing up so the cooling system can bleed air. I'm using my mirror to make sure I got the thermostat clocked in right. I'm not gonna pinch the gasket. Plug put in. Now before we put it together, we're going to want to do a pressure test and confirm we don't have any problems with what we just installed. Okay, we'll monitor that for a few minutes and see if we have any drop. I'm just testing my tool since I just resealed the ends. So what will happen is when I have a micro leak, it'll start foaming up from the bubbles. But yeah, it's holding. Gauge hasn't moved. So we're gonna continue to go back together.
5 minutes later.
Okay, we got our thermostat installed, pressure tested, got everything cleaned off. Now we're running the engine. Now we're doing our confirm. I'm watching the engine temperature as it warms up, and then I'm watching to where I see all of a sudden the temperature dip down. That lets me know that thermostat's working, and we're good to go.